Naruto, fan fiction. The Golden Ghost. 2. The second time Madara sees her, it's 6 months later, and summer has taken a hold of the land. He's in the middle of a mission, sent to retrieve a scroll from a small town on the border of the Land of Fire. The only reason he of all people in the clan has been sent out is because there is a rumor that Senju have been hired. Even now, years later, his gut twists up a bit at the idea of it being Hashirama he is to face in battle again. Though it has happened a handful of times, there is never a significant gap in skills, neither of them having more power than the other, neither willing to submit, neither able to defeat the other. Yet, he worries. What if this is the time he doesn't come back? What if he leaves Izuna all alone, at the mercy of the Senju, because Hashirama put in a bit more training than he did? What if all his practicing, all his fighting and sparring and training, wasn't enough to keep him alive? But each time, the thought of protecting his brother pulls him through. Thankfully, it is not Hashirama he greets in battle this time. He's a little less grateful to realize it's 3A rank Senjus though. An A-ranked ninja on his own, Madara could have taken them, if they'd had the decency to not gang up on him, that was. Instead, he finds himself doubling back, trying to find a way to pluck them off one by one so he could make another attempt for the scroll without these idiots in the way. Sadly, they know the steps of this dance, and they start to close in. That's when he bursts through the tree tops into a small clearing, in which a beautiful river is running straight down the middle. And the Golden Ghost is sat atop the water. All 4 of them skid to a halt at the very sight of her, sat neatly on the water in nothing but a pair of skin-tight black pants that only reach halfway down her thighs, and bandages that service to keep her chest covered. Were it not for the fact he was currently fighting, not running, a strategic retreat 3A ranked Senju, he'd probably be as red as a tomato to see a woman in such a state of undress. Before any of them can make a move though, before even the girl can make a move, a furry head, a head as big as the girl's torso, surfaces from the river. Followed by a body. And 9 swishing tails. Madara feels his stomach drop out from under him. That shouldn't be possible. The girl had pulled the 9 tails into her body, what was it doing outside of it? And so small. Behind him, he can feel the Senju freeze too, clearly realizing what situation they were in. Even if they hadn't recognized the woman as the Golden Ghost, they surely had to recognize the great danger before them. None had stepped before the path of a bijou, and lived, such was their power. They were terrifying creatures, ferocious and vile, and saw no problem with wiping out human settlement after human settlement. As those blood-red eyes pass over the Senju and lock onto Madara, the Uchiha air gathers that this was how a civilian felt beneath the gaze of an S-ranked ninja. Like prey. Just when he feels that his time was up, that he really was gonna leave Izuna alone as the last surviving brother, a dainty hand reaches across and whaps the most fearsome creature in existence across the nose. Kurama, be nice. Madara's a friend. He can almost feel the moment the 3 Senju connect the dots, looking at each other, and desperately hoping they weren't actually sure of their names, and that one of them was in fact a Madara. The demon fox snarls, all 9 tails sinisterly curling around its body, and the Senju flee like rabbits. Madara would have liked to watch them depart, to feel smug, but he's much more occupied by the being that could erase his existence. The being that has yet to stop growling at him. And just like that, the Golden Ghost flicks the nose of the most feared bijou in the land, an action that has the fox recoiling. It was the most absurd sight he'd ever seen. The fox had to be at least 7 foot tall if it were to stand on its hind legs. Yet, it didn't rip the girl's head from her shoulders. "I will rip out your entrails, brat." The booming voice echoes around the clearing, and in his terror over the beast actually speaking, all Madara can consider is if the Senju happened to have stuck around to watch the show, he wouldn't doubt that they are fleeing right now. But who will brave your temper for those belly rubs then? Before his very eyes, Madara can only watch in horror as the girl tackles the beast, tumbling across the river's surface and onto the earth, boxing back the killer tails. No, wait. There was no killer intent. Only joy. Their movements were playful, the fox snapping its teeth in the girl's face, and she fearlessly returned the gesture, fingers digging into the fox's stomach and rubbing back and forth until the orange furball dissolved beneath her touch. Everything okay? The ghost asks, head cocked to one side, and Madara tenses as the fox growls. Even when the girl beats the sound down with another good belly rub, he can't shake the fear, the adrenaline, coursing through his veins. However, before he can worry about what he has to do, he can't kill the girl now. He's only 16, only has 9 years of battle experience. He's no match for a free bijou, and whatever this woman is, the girl decides his course of action for him. The Senju ran that way, the girl muses, pointing in the opposite direction to the town he'd been heading to, other hand now stroking the fox's long ears. So I think you'll be okay to head back. He needs to get stronger, he can't have this woman catching him flat-footed him again. Just because she let him go today, doesn't mean she won't go for the kill the next time they meet. She, who has the apparent loyalty of the most destructive force in existence, is more of a terrible danger than his father had first taken her for. So, he forces himself to nod, to offer his non-verbal thanks, slowly backing out of the clearing and keeping her in sight at all times. The fox huffs a dark laugh at him, the sound almost muffled by the way the girl stretches back to rest against its large rib cage. Despite himself, Madara can't help but trace the curve of her breasts with his gaze, the sharp edges of her abdominal muscles, and the swell of her hips that disappear beneath the tight black fabric of her shorts, and he finds his face heating up regardless of his desires to remain unaffected. She is the most dangerous thing he's ever come across, but a part of him calls out, dares to want, to lust after the idea of making her his. Because that's what she is, the walking contradiction. She is a woman, and women are to be submissive, to bow before the will of the husband, and aid him through her life. But she is also a ninja, he sees that now, and she is the most powerful ninja he has ever come across. Now that he is free of his drunken state, he can recognize the heavy thrum of her chakra in the air, pure and human, brushing up against the thick malice that is the trickle of chakra the Kyubis allows to saturate the clearing. The woman has noticed his stare, of course she has, but instead of blushing, of raging like any other woman would, she winks at him with a grin. As his face burns and he turns to flee into the undergrowth, to finish his mission, now that the obstacles are absent, her roaring laughter consonnates with the Kyubis in his ears.